Good day. My name is Bianca Darfel, and today I'm going to take you through some of the Absolute solution. Well, actually, Siegfried Loma on the call is going to take you through the console a little bit more in detail and explain what all the widgets are, and take you more into detail about what each of the features in this solution are capable of doing for you as an organization. So Absolute has been around just pre-2000. It's been embedded into devices probably for the last 15 odd years. And the solution really would work on any Windows or Mac OS devices. And the solution primarily is focused at your endpoints, so laptops, desktops, so mobile type devices. It's a great tool for asset tracking, asset management, and also information if you're looking for information. So if you're searching for sensitive information in your devices, so if you're searching for example, GDPR information, fantastic tool to be able to search for that type of information, including POPI type information. It is completely cloud-based, which is great, so you can access it from any device and manage all your devices across your entire environment. I'm actually going to hand over to Sihle right now, but I will stop him from time to time and we can discuss and chat a couple of the points in the console, but I'm going to hand over to Sihle. Thanks, Sihle.
Thank you, Bianca. Okay, Absolute is cloud-based solution, and what you're seeing here is the dashboard, and the dashboard will give you a security view in terms of your encryption status, what type of encryption you are running, and how many devices are encrypted. And you can see there's 4 devices that are not encrypted with BitLocker, and 1 device is encrypted with BitLocker, and the other 2 with Dell encryption. Also can give you a view on the anti-malware status in terms of what type of malware you're running. In this case, we've got Windows Defender, we've got CrowdStrike. And if you scroll down, you also have information regarding your make and the model. You've got 4 Dell devices. You also have an Acer device, also have an Android device, also a virtual machine. Also operating system, you can also see what type of operating system you're running. In this case, for this example, we've got Microsoft Windows 10, also have an Android device, also have a Windows device, a Microsoft Windows 7 device. Scroll down, it also gives you a view of your application health. So the application persistent module, the Absolute module can also be extended, or the capabilities for Absolute to self-heal itself can also be extended to your critical applications like your VPN, your encryption, your AV. Those type of applications can also self-heal themselves.
Sorry, Sihle, can I stop you there for a sec? So just this screen is completely customizable. You can change it however you want. And one of the nice things to be able to do is to be able to actually check your security posture at a glance. So be able to quickly see how many devices currently have encryption on it, how many devices currently have encryption, but they haven't actually been activated. So for example, those BitLocker devices, they have BitLocker on them, but they just haven't actually been encrypted. So that's just something to note. Sihle, would you mind just explaining the difference between an unhealthy and a healthy device? So that, yeah, that's application health. Can you maybe just explain the difference between unhealthy and a healthy device?
Okay, thank you, Ben. Okay, on the application health, you've got 3 status where you have healthy, meaning like for this example, BitLocker, 1 device has BitLocker and it's working perfectly. So the BitLocker, that machine is encrypting with BitLocker. There's another status is pending, meaning the agent has still has to scan the device to give us the application health for BitLocker. And then we've got 6 devices which are unhealthy, meaning they do have BitLocker on them, but the BitLocker is not active, it's not running on those devices, but it is picking up BitLocker on those devices. Thanks. And then if you scroll down, you also have an option to see dark devices. So with dark devices, you'll find that there's devices that have not connected within the last 30 days. So you can check and then start mitigating the device and see why they have not connected to the console.
Can you change time period, so dark devices. So can I change it to say if my device is on calling home? Okay. And can I even make that period less? Can I change that there?
Yes,
Or is it
so
another? Okay.
so on the dashboard, it only gives you 30 days, but on when you're running report, you can say you want maybe 10 days or less, then you can run those reports under reports.
Great, thank you. The license consumption,
then,
and also just, sorry, discussing license consumption for us.
yeah, so with license widgets, you've got the information regarding your license. So as you can see here, you've got 191 licenses available that you can still install on devices, and you've only used 9 licenses. And there's different types of license where you have this license evaluation, but there's different types of license where you have resilience, you also have control, you also have visibility. So on this widget, you'll see all the types of license that you have, and also the license counts.
Can you set the license
And also,
consumption? Sorry, CK, carry on.
yes, and then also you've got unlicensed. So let's say if you run over or over subscribe, all those devices will be under unlicensed devices, even though you have the agent running, but you don't have the license for that device, you'll be under unlicensed. And also expiring, if you have devices that the license is going to expire within the last 30 days, so you'll have those devices under here, and then you know that how many license you need to procure to be active again.
Thanks. Sika, I know that you can set different administrator settings for everyone. So if I log in, I have different details than you have. Can I change my view of my dashboard? So
yes, so with user management, so you can have different types of administrators who log on to your console, and then they can perform different tasks on the dashboard. So these are the defaults or users or roles that you can assign to your administrators. Like with administrator, you find that they have less permissions, as you can see here. So these are the roles, and then the permission, you can see all this what they can do. So for example, policies, they can view, they can manage, but they cannot export or do other actions. But when you find with the guest user, if you can see the permission, you can see under permission and under policies, they are unable to view or manage anything. So it depends on the role and of your administrators that you assign to them.
And obviously the system would keep a record of then whatever actions I take. So say I'm a power user or power administrator and I make changes. Of course, I would imagine that it keeps a record. So say, for example, I by accident delete or purpose delete my machine and I wipe my machine because I might have sensitive information. I don't want my company to see it. Would you be able to pick that up?
Yes, so under the history widget, this is where you'll see all the event that has happened on the system, and also on all the devices that are managed. So you can see here, these are all the events that have happened. Then under actions, so under actions, these are the actions that are performed by the administrator. So this is where you can see maybe who has run a script and all of that. Then this is where you can see all the events that has happened.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you from the dashboard.
Sure, no problem. And then after the dashboard, you've got assets widget. So the asset widget will give you a list of all your devices. And as you can see here, this is a list of all the devices. And it gives you information like your device name, when last it connected to the console, the average daily usage of that device, the username, the make, the model. This is all the information you can see. And with this information, you can also export this information or save as a report that you want to run. You can also schedule reports. So from here, you can choose how often you want that report to be scheduled, weekly or monthly or daily. And then you can even choose the type of format, and then add the recipients that you want this report to be sent to, and then they'll get that report on how you have configured. So after you've installed the agent and it's running, it will pull down all the type of information. The type of information that you can see is your device information or your device details. As you can see here, you can see your serial number, the device name, the make, the model. If you scroll down, you can also see who has that device, who's using that device, the operating system information that's running, the build, the version that's running. System information will give you like the hardware information, like the hard drive space, the memory, the IP address, the local IP address, and those type of information. Also, you can see BIOS information, and lastly, the battery health of that device. And then also you can see software. So with software on that individual device, you can see an overview of all the software that is running on that device. And then from here, you can even search for different type of software that you want to see or who that's installed on that device. And also on top, you can see under software, you've got the operating system, the OS product key, and also what type of anti-malware you're running. Let's say a device is at risk or it's missing or stolen. You also have a few actions that you can perform. Mainly, you can perform like a device freeze. So with a device freeze, what it does is push down a command to freeze your device, and then you've got a pre-defined message that will pop up on your screen and will stay there in a freeze state. The only way to remove that is from the console, by unfreezing the device or by supplying the user with a code to unfreeze the device. The device freeze is also persistent, so it will stay there even if you restart your machine or if you format your machine. As soon as it connects to the internet, the Absolute agent will self-heal itself, and then you go back to the device freeze state. The next option that you can, or the action that you can perform, is data delete. So with data delete, you have several options that you can perform with data delete. So the first one, custom policies.
Sorry, so let me quickly pause you there. On the freeze option, one of the features that we discuss with customers quite often, which I think is quite a nice feature, is should somebody resign, you can actually freeze a device on the date that you know that they're going to be handing back the device. And if they don't hand back the device automatically frozen. So at least you can take more. And you can basically set that policy. So you can set that rule so that if the device on the 31st at 5 o'clock, the machine's up returned, it will freeze automatically, which kind of gives you an offline command, which is great. So Claire, would you need to connect to the internet in that instance?
So if with device freeze, you've got three options. The first one is immediate. So you can say, do you want the freeze to happen on the next restart? So as soon as the device restarts, it will get frozen. Or if you want the device to be frozen immediately. But you can also create a conditional freeze or an offline, where you can see, as you can see here, the timer. So you can say, do you want the device to freeze in 30 days? So even if the device is not connected to the internet, as long as it reaches that period, it will also freeze for itself.
Which is great, because obviously then you just have more access to that device. So if the machine then lies in a manager's cupboard, well, that's fine if it's lying in a manager's cupboard, but at least you can also then see who connected to it last, who logged on to it last. And then if it's frozen, well, nobody else can continue using it until you actually obviously enter the PIN and then access it. So they'll need to obviously contact. So you'll see there it says request the code in the middle. So the last screen that Claire was on, which means basically they can call the administrator, request the code, and then unblock the machine. So unblock the machine and then continue working if you wanted them to continue, but otherwise you obviously have control over that machine. Just gives you a lot more control over your assets and your environment. It seems like a very simple option, but in reality, being able to take control of your environment gives you a lot of benefit. Or if you need people to come back to IT to update certain applications and they're taking a long time to do so, well, this is one of the ways to do it. Thanks, Eclair. Sorry.
Thank you, Bianca. Thank you. The next action that you can perform if your device is stolen or is lost, you can perform a data delete. With data delete, you have a few options that you can choose from. So first option is custom policy. With custom policy, let's say you know that all your users, they copy all the files onto maybe a file or a folder on a desktop, or for example, my document. So you can use this custom policy to only delete my document folder and need to remove all those files. And then the next option is all files, which will remove all the files that are on the device. Then the third option is lost or stolen device. So this option will delete the OS and also all the files. And then the last option is end of life delete, which will delete all the files, the operating system, and also the sector. And then with the last option, you also receive an end of life data delete certificate, which will prove to say that all the files have been deleted off the device. With that, you also get a log file, which has all the files that have been deleted, which includes like the timestamp of when last the files were accessed.
That obviously is for compliance purposes. Sorry, Cecily. So you obviously use that for compliance purposes, but then that license then goes back into your pool. So then you actually have that license again available to your environment. So obviously the license doesn't live and die with the machine. You might procure it with the machine because often, especially with Dell, you would procure it with the device, but that license is not attached to the device. It can be moved if you decide to actually move it. So you unenroll the machine from the console, and then you can actually have that license available going forward. Thanks, EJ.
Yes, Bianca. And then another setting that you can perform is how many times you want the data to be overwritten. So with military standard, these are the type of options you can choose from. Like from one time, you only want the data to be overwritten once, or 3 times, or 7 times. Another option is for devices which works perfectly for devices that are off your network. You have the option of reaching out to those devices through running or pushing down PowerShell scripts or bash scripts for Mac devices. So with running PowerShell scripts, you've got with pre-built or predefined PowerShell scripts, PowerShell or script library. So these are the pre-built or predefined PowerShell scripts or bash scripts that you can perform, which will push down to your devices. It can be like configuration type of PowerShell, can be OS related, can be like running exe files or uninstalling exe files or MSI files, or even doing any type of task that you want to perform on your devices, like uninstalling Chrome, for example, if you don't want your users having Firefox browser on your devices. So you can just push down the script to your devices, and then it will auto uninstall on the background, and then you only see that the user doesn't have Chrome or Firefox, for example. The next option is being able to track a device when, for example, it's been stolen or it's lost. So you have an option of tracking a device by going to device actions and then saying reports missing or stolen device. So we have two options here where you can report or track a missing device. So with tracking a missing device, this is where you can put your email addresses to which will notify as soon as that device connects to the internet. So as soon as it connects to the internet, you can start tracking the device, looking at the location, look at the information like the username, who has that device, going to your location, and then checking where the device is. And another nice option is if you're using BitLocker, you have an option of removing all the BitLocker keys by using the this wipe, which will remove all the BitLocker keys, and then that data won't be readable or will be usable to any user. Other option is performing endpoint data discovery. With endpoint data discovery, you can perform different types of scans. For example, you can say you want to scan for credit card numbers or personal health information or GDPR information. So with this, it will scan and then give you a score or give you a report on where those files are sitting. In this example, under South African ID or passports, so you can see that it has scanned the device and it will give you the name of the device that has that type of data, and also under file part you can see where that file is resides, and then you can know where, for example, if that device goes missing, you know that it has the specific files or risk data. Then you can go and do a data delete, knowing that where those files are sitting.
Sitli, can you do data retrieval? So if I want to maybe take some of those files, I know that my CEO now has lost his machine and I want to get the sensitive board packs or whatever that he's been working on. I want to save it. Can I save it into a cloud, or what can I do?
Yeah, so after doing the data discovery, you'll know where your data is sitting. And then, for example, if someone has left their device maybe at home or somewhere, you can do a data or a file retrieval. So with the file retrieval, you can retrieve any type of file. But this is the option of doing the file retrieval. But also there's another option that you can perform, is a file list summary. With the file list summary, you can say you want to scan for maybe exe files. As soon as it picks up an exe file, you get a list of where your exe files. Using that list, you can retrieve the files. And then, for example, here, so what you're seeing here is the file list, request a file list. So for example, you'd say you want to request a file list of all your Word document. And then as soon as it picks up that, it will run a report, and then you'll have like a TXT file, which will have all your document or your Word files. Then from there on, you can start retrieving those files. These are the options of the type of document that you can retrieve.
So you retrieve it then basically maybe into your private cloud or wherever you actually want to send that to. So it doesn't actually go into Absolute's cloud, it goes into your private cloud.
Yeah, so you've got a few options that you can use. So when it's retrieved, you've got the option of setting up with Absolute Professional Services to say you want all your files when you're retrieving them to go maybe to one of your OneDrive accounts. So as soon as it retrieves, it will retrieve those files to your OneDrive. Then you can download those files onto your local machine from OneDrive.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then another last option that you can perform. This is for Lenovo devices, so you can change or manage the supervisor password for Lenovo devices. This is where you can delete or you can modify the password for all your BIOS information. And then Absolute has its own investigation team. So you can create a theft report, or if your device is stolen, you can create an investigation report. An Absolute team will use their own tools to get their location and see who has that device, and then working with the local authority, try to retrieve that device for you. So the process will be like going to the police and getting a police report, and then with that report, this is where you put all that information and also upload. You can even upload that attachment, and then also with the incident, we have an incident where you can say where the incident details, to say where the incident happened, maybe that device was stolen from the car and all of that. So you put all that information, and then Absolute investigation team will use all that information to track and see where the device is. Under asset, you also have geofence. So with geofence, you can create geofences or boundaries around, maybe for example, your premises. And for example, if a device leaves that premise, you also get alerted. then you can start locking down the device or finding out why the device has left that boundary. There's also an option of with your fence, you also have 5 different location technologies that you can use to get your most accurate location. First one is Google Map Wi-Fi positioning. So with this, if you have Google Maps on your device, it will get your location, or uses GPS, or it uses Absolute Wi-Fi positioning. So Absolute has their own database of Wi-Fi connections, and then it also use that to triangulate your location. Also can use IP geo resolution to also get your location. So an example of a geofence would be something like this. So this is a geofence under the campus in Bryanston, and if a device leaves this boundary, you'll be able to track and see why that device has left that boundary. Absolute also has an option of sending a user message. So with Absolute, you can also go to settings, and then under settings, go to end user messaging. So with end user messaging, it will send a message similar to the device freeze, which will pop up on the screen, and it can also be persistent. So for example, if someone has taken out the device off that boundary and is not allowed to, you can send a message which will go to the device, and then you can maybe ask the user why they haven't they've removed that device from the boundary. Then they can also reply from that message. Not only for that, you can also use the end user messaging, for example, for IT purposes, where you have, like, you'll be running updates on a Friday, and then maybe you request your users to not switch off your devices, then so that update will happen. Then under reports, the next widget is reports. So under reports, you've got a library of different types of reports where you have hardware assets. So hardware assets would give you information regarding your hardware, your devices, basically. So under device analysis, so not only hardware information, you also have software assets. Software assets will give you, related to the software, like your application persistence. You also have like your software reporting data, your software overview. With software overview, it will give you a list of all the software that is running on all your devices. So this is a list of all the devices that are running, and maybe, for example, you want to see who has maybe OneDrive, for example, maybe Microsoft. So from here, this is the type of information that you can see who has OneDrive. And then under device count, this is where you will see all the devices that have OneDrive running on them.
It's also a great tool to be able to actually see your compliance of your software. So if you've oversubscribed, obviously this is a nice way to actually pick it up really quickly. So if you need to do a report for Microsoft, you need to report for one of those organizations, Adobe, for example, you can pick up quickly how many licenses you currently have active in your environment.
Yes, and also this will give you information like the application name, the version, and the device count. And with this report, you can just go to report option and then maybe save this as maybe OneDrive report. And then it will go, and then once you've saved this, you can use this on a daily frequency. Then under reports, it will go to your custom reports. Then you can have it here. As you can see, it's under one. So you go under your custom reports, then it's a report that you can run. You can also export this report. There's also option of exporting reports after you've ran those reports.
So you can export it to exe, or sorry, what type of files do you export it to? Or how do you export it? How do you see?
So you've got different options. where you can export the reports to your CSV
Okay,
or,
so it does go to CSV.
or
Okay, cool.
XML
So,
file and all of.
oh,
So
okay,
like
cool.
here, this is where you can export this to Excel file or XML file or CSV file. So
Oh,
you've
awesome.
got different options of export.
Okay, so that makes
Next
lots of
widget, next widget is the policy widget. So the type of policies that you apply on your device. So under global policy, this is the default policy group where you've got all your devices, but you can also create different types of, as you can see here, you've got Dell, you've got demo machines. These are all the type of reports that you can have, or policy groups. So under policy groups, under devices, you've got a list of all the devices that you have on your policy group. So this is a list of all, and then you can also select a device if you want to move them to a, if you want to unenroll or maybe want to move the device to another policy group. Then under settings, this is where you enable all the type of policy or policies that you can create. You've got hardware, you've got software, you also have endpoint data discovery. So endpoint data discovery is where it will scan for credit card numbers or GDPR information. And then you can set how the scheduling, the scan schedule, do you want them to scan on a monthly basis or weekly basis. Also have full disk encryption. So with full disk encryption, it will give you a status of all your full disk encryption. Device usage, you also have application persistence. So the application persistence, you can also persist or enable the absolute self-healing capability onto your critical applications. Like on this list, you've got like Citrix, AnyConnect, VPN, you've got Workspace ONE, you've got Dell encryption, you've got F5 VPN. So this is the type of application that you can persist. Geolocation tracking, so you can also enable geofence or geolocation to track your devices. So under persistence, this is also a list. You can clearly see the list of all the devices or all the applications that you can persist. If you feel that there's an application that's not on the list, it can also be added onto through Absolute professional services. They can also add that application to also be persisted by Absolute. So for example, Absolute, what it does, you can configure it to only report. So what it do, it's a report saying that on this device, it will report the health of the application, like the health, is it healthy, is it unhealthy, or is it still pending? And also what it can do, you can also set it to report and repair. So it will repair that application. If that application does not repair, it can eventually reinstall that application. So under installer type, this is where you insert the installer and also the hashes, the username, the password that you use to install all that information. Then the agent will self-heal and also install that application for you. And then under policies, you also have alerts. So with alerts, you can configure different types of alerts to alert you for any type of changes that happen on your devices. For example, if your devices, there's a device rebuild. So with this device rebuild, it means that someone has formatted that device. Then you can start mitigating from there and see why that device has been rebuilt, or maybe change in serial number. So with change in serial number, this alert will alert you if, for example, it picks up a new serial number. That instant, it will mean that someone maybe has changed or has swapped the hard drive and put another hard drive on that device. Even hardware or hard drive nearly full. So if the hard drive is nearly full, you can also configure this on your own time and saying maybe if the hard drive free space is less than 10%, then it should alert you, and then you can start mitigating before the hard drive gets full. Or even new program file detected. So this is also helps in shadow IT, where you don't want your users to install their own application on your device. So if it picks up any application that is installed on your device, then you can start mitigating and find out why that user has installed that application.
So
Then
useful things
under endpoint data.
Sorry, Seekler.
Yes,
Useful
Bianca.
things there as well as things like warranty ending. So if you struggle to actually manage knowing when you need to refresh your devices, for example, just knowing when the warranty ending ends is actually incredibly useful, obviously, to be able to actually know when to refresh your entire estate.
Yes, so you can have a condition where you say warranty ending date is less than 14 days or 60 days, and then it will also alert you, and then you can start the process, or even with leasing ending. So if you lease your devices, and this can also alert you if your lease is ending in a specific date, then you can start doing the process.
So this is endpoint data discovery rules. So Seekler is going to take us through this a little bit. And obviously you can amend the rules quite a bit.
Sorry about that, Bianca. Okay, and then you've got different types of rules that you can perform, or you can also add your own type of rule rather than having the pre-built one, which are security. Maybe you can have like your general IP address, general ID numbers, or GDPR scan for GDPR personal data or credit card information. But you can also add your own expressions. For example, if you want to scan for critical information or maybe sensitive information, so you just put the word sensitive.
And then you can basically search for any type of sensitive information. So that actually obviously is incredibly useful to be able to search for sensitive information such as GDPR information, as Seekler is saying, or you can search for things such as one of our customers wants to be able to search for information that basically pertains to papers, so exam papers. They know then what the exam paper is, and they can then search for the exam paper. And this obviously pertains to your endpoint, not necessarily, obviously, you don't want to do this for your, doesn't pertain to your data centers, but really just for your endpoints. Your endpoints obviously often don't connect to the to your domain for a while, to your network for a while. So you actually, sorry, I beg your pardon, to your network for a while. So obviously that creates a bit of an issue. And being able to actually then search for that sensitive information. This is basically how you'd be able to do that.
Yes, for like this example for South African ID and passports. So you have like ID or identifier, and then this is how you put the expression or passport number, the expression. So the expression was scanned for ID numbers and also for passport numbers, and you get a report on who has the type information. Then if ever that device is at risk or has been stolen, then you know that you need to secure the device or that information by doing a data delete and be compliant in terms of the applications or the information that you have on those devices. Then the next widget is history. So under history, you've got events. I think we went through this. So any type of event that happens or occurs on all your devices, as you can see here, like network adapter updated. So this user has updated the network adapter, or maybe volume updated information, like system information, like the IP address. For you can see this user has also updated their local, or has changed their local address or public address. Also under actions, or any action that you perform. And then the last widget is settings. Under settings, you have the first settings is agent management. So with agent management, you can say how you want the agent to update it. So if ever there's a new update, you want it to be manually or to be automatic. And then under data, with data, you can also have your field. So let's say you've got already have an IT asset system that you use. You can also add those different types of fields like the asset number. So if you want to also include asset numbers, this is where you can add your asset numbers, your email address, your username that is assigned to the specific device, like the list dates. So this is where you import, or you can import all the type information like the warranty or when the device was purchased, that the physical location of the device. If you have like different regions, so if you want to know that device is in Cape Town or is in Joburg, so this is all the type of information that you can put. Then also under settings, you've got file retrieval. We've went through file retrieval where you can retrieve the files. And also lastly, you can also integrate with your SIM if you have any type of SIM solution and you want all the events or the logs to be pushed down to your SIM. This is the connector. So you can download the connector and then run on your SIM, and then you have all the events that happen on the Absolute solution to be pushed down to your SIM solution. Thank you, Bianca.
Awesome. So at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see it says help and support. So help and support basically provides you with training and with a bit more information about the product. So when a customer becomes a customer, we obviously assist with the installation and deployment and setup, etc., and hand-holding for the initial period. And we can obviously definitely assist, support you throughout the contract period. However, this training is available to you and to your administrators and to whomever to be able to actually learn a bit more about the product. And there's a lot of very useful, easy training tools in this product set. So as you see, it is a very, very easy product to manage, and it's very intuitive. The support team are really great. So as soon as you ask a question, of course, if a device is stolen, they take action really quickly. But other support that you could ask obviously could be like really technical support regarding how would you run a bash script that you're struggling a bit, and why is your bash script not running, for example. They'll be able to assist you with that type of information. And then, Cecily, would you mind maybe just quickly just touching on the API that's available?
So Absolute has an API that is public available. So you can, if ever you want to integrate Absolute, maybe for example with ServiceNow. So ServiceNow API where you can integrate and then also have all this type of alerts going through to your ServiceNow solution. Then you can also be able to mitigate the actions easier.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, Cecily. I think that's all from us. Is there something else you want to maybe touch on, Cecily?
No, that's it for now.
Right. Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening, and let us know if we can assist you with anything further.